Oh, I'm not done yet. The other reason I have a problem with black Christians is they can't keep their shit straight. And a lot of religious people have this problem, but they can't keep their shit straight. Like the pastor at least has a couple tools in his toolbox to where he can try to bullshit you, or he knows scripture enough to where he can try to mental gymnastic his way around. And I usually am able to get around that bullshit as well. But I'm saying your average run-of-the-mill Christian, like they don't even think about what they believe in. I ask them questions and shit, like, how, who do we get Christianity from as West Africans? We got it from the people that enslaved us. That doesn't bother you at all? You don't even think about that? A bunch of murderers and rapists, come to the shores of Africa, and they give you the basis for your moral and spiritual orientation. You don't even question that, right? Then, when you get into other conversations, you start talking about, history as, African Americans in America, right? They'll acknowledge white supremacy and racism. I think most black people will acknowledge that. Most black people do recognize that, even black Christians, right? But then I ask the question, I say, but like I asked the black Muslims, I'm like, whose team are you on? Because we have the racial conversation, and it's like you get it, but then somehow it'll still turn into, well, you're a Christian and we're all God's children, and so you start identifying with the very people who are oppressing you, or white supremacists, or the system of white supremacy, or white people in general. You start identifying with them more on the basis that they're Christian than you do with me, who's an atheist and doesn't even believe in all this magical shit. But I recognize, what black people face, and I care, and I deeply give a shit. But you're more willing to side with the white person because, oh, they're a Christian too, right? Even though we see the huge disparities between communities, like what is the most segregated hour, of the week in America? 12 o'clock on Sunday. We don't even worship the same churches. You know what I'm saying? We don't give praise in the same buildings. Right? White people live in white neighborhoods, black people live in black neighborhoods. But yet you want to tell me about the sweet twinkle of white Jesus and the buttery goodness of the Lord in your bosom. I'm like, get real, man. Get real. They got you on some bullshit that they don't even fucking operate on. You know what I mean? You start talking about reparations of slavery, white people, they start going fucking crazy. Oh, but they're so cool, they're comfortable with the idea of, oh, well, Jesus died for all of our sins, so Jesus paid the tab, and, we have no issue with that. He paid the present and future tabs, so we have no issue with that. But you start talking about right and wrongs and correcting shit. I saw a documentary yesterday, that whole about July Perry and Ochoa, Florida, which is I think that's like outside Orlando. But again, it's like they don't even want to do reparations for that. I mean, there's you get to the end of the documentary, the mayor, who was the mayor? The mayor, he married the wife of his wife's father was the white police officer that was in the Klan that basically deputized all the other white men in the town to go burn down, or shoot up July Perry's house and then burn black people out of Ochoa, right? And I'm sitting there, and I used to say OOC or whatever, because I didn't know how to say it. But I just so happened to come across that documentary, because I was looking up something about black people in self-defense. And that shit came up. I was like, oh, look at this. You know, because I never got the full story on what happened. Just some black people tried to vote, and then the white people ran them out. You know, I don't understand how you can worship the same God as your enemy, and when they sit there and they pray to that God serves them. You know, not to mention the fact that they made that God, or made the image of the son of that God, look like them. And you don't have any issues with that image. And you don't even question this shit. But yet, you're a black man just like every other black man. Then you get the whole won't bust a grape in a fruit fight. You know, Christians. You know, the ones that won't do unto others as has been done unto them, which puts us in a very compromised position. You talk about the Second Amendment, they sit there with a blank stare on their face. I'm like, you a grown ass man. You been grown. What you mean you're not exercising your Second Amendment right? Look, I'm not telling you that you got to be all gung-ho about it, but you need to have at least one firearm. I don't give a fuck if it's a shotgun or a handgun if you ain't into rifles. But you need to have at least one. And if you ain't got one, it tells me like your mentality as a black man in this country. It tells me that you don't prepare, you don't think that some shit can go down, and all you're gonna do is sit there and tell me about the sweet twinkle of white Jesus in your eye and the buttery goodness of the Lord. That's all you're gonna do is sit there and tell me about that shit. When some shit goes down, you're not prepared. And what frustrates me as a black man is like, okay, so if some shit goes down, I can't call upon you. Like, all we got is each other, and you're not even mentally prepared for if shit just goes all the way fucking left. You know what I'm saying? You don't think our fucking African ancestors, you know, you don't think that they didn't realize like shit just went left? They were sitting there minding their fucking business in a village or some shit, and then here comes some motherfuckers with clubs and nets. That shit just went all the way left. You know, I mean, shit. I mean, even white people. You know, America will never be attacked on American soil. We're America. You know, our exceptionalism trumps everything. Until a bunch of 19 hijackers get on a plane and say, yeah, fuck your idea of America. Allahu Akbar! And them slam some planes into some fucking buildings and the fucking Pentagon and shit. Oh, they thought they couldn't be touched either. I'm like, what is wrong with, like, seriously, like, what is wrong with y'all? Like, with just the way that y'all think, like, seriously, what is wrong with you all? You know, I'm not telling you that you gotta be, like, you know, out here, like, oh my God, the white man's out to get me. Oh my God, the white man's out to get me. But I'm like, at least, I mean, you got I'm not, like, in other words, I'm not basing this off of shit that didn't happen. Like, it actually happened, motherfucker. Like, damn. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's already happened. The fucked up shit already happened. So don't sit there and try to act like I'm paranoid and try to act like, oh, it can't happen. It already happened, motherfucker. Like, what is wrong with you? Damn. The shit is right in front of you. Oh, and then to even be further just idiotic about it. Oh, well, it already happened, but that's in the past. That's in the past. Like, fucking genocides don't happen, you know, every like 50 to 100 years. Oh, we're past that. I'm like, you're fucking delusional. I mean, you got people talking about the same shit I've been talking about, you know, for years, about societal collapse coming because of all this ass backwardness and gender roles and shit. And now you got all these people, all these white people, they're up there citing, you know, well, you know, they said that, you know, the Rome collapsed because of gender problems and because, you know, people didn't know their roles and because of you know, the way that everything was commoditized and capitalism and all. I'm like, see, I fucking told you. You know, it's like, again, it's like Halo and Cortana and rampancy. You know, the society starts thinking itself to death. You know, wherever everything is oppressive, everything is problematic, we got to radically change this and radically change that overnight. And because to make about, it's all about feelings, it's not about survival and shit. And then you get to a certain point where the very individuals you need, which are typically your men, are either too broken or too bitter, you know, to do what they need to do. And then shit just starts falling apart and collapsing. You know, then the elite, they're trying to create a buffer, right? You know, I'm like, you're gonna have to live, you know, like, I'm like, what, are you gonna just live in gated communities? I'm like, cities are collapsing, shit is collapsing all around you, right? That's why they want to take everybody's guns away. Because they see the shit coming. Shit's gonna be like fucking Elysium with Matt Damon and the dirty ass Earth and everybody, you know, living off of fucking rations and shit like that. Overpopulated, dirty ass Earth. Keep trying to tell people this shit. Why do you think they got all these billionaires, you know, looking to advance the space race and, you know, claim celestial bodies? And you know who's gonna be left out of that shit? Black people. How long ago did I say that? Somebody just reminded me about that the other day, talking about, man, you said this 5 months ago. Black authorities just made a video about this shit. I hate having to be nigga-damus on all this shit. You know, it just frustrates me. Like, just magic. I mean, just go pull up videos. I found a video the other day with some white guy saying the same shit. I sent it to Cap, and he was like, oh, man, this is an awesome video. Same shit. You know, talking about how, you know, religion keeps people poor. You know, and the main issue for black people is we focus on pie in the sky. We do not focus on, what do you call it? We do not focus on, you know, the here and the now. You know, other groups, they use religion to justify them having power now, them being in control now, them creating as close to a heavenly situation on earth now. Then they take what they built and created and they leave it behind and pass it on to their children. Black people don't do that. Black people are selfish and individually focused on, you know, the afterlife. I'm like, how many kids you got? Yeah, I got 7 kids. They'll be all right, you know, but man, I'm so glad that I'll be dead soon so I can sit on white Jesus's lap. Like, shit is just fucking killing me, man. It's killing me. And then it's all about just comfort. And it's like, look, this shit is man-made. This shit can be fixed with, yes, a lot of discipline and a lot of hard work, you know, and a lot of organization. But you know, y'all just would rather sit around and hope and pray and just act like shit's just gonna fix itself. So frustrating. I can't stand these, like, what do you want to call it? What's the word that I'm looking for? What's the phraseology I'm looking for? You know, they're like black, I don't know, it's like distractors or detractors. That's what they are. They're like black detractors. You know, you start talking about money, they want to talk about God. You know, you identify a problem and they act like it's just the universe is going to fix it, or some prayer is going to fix it. I have no tolerance for these niggas, man. I have none. You know? When can we get underway, damn it? There's 5 compartments, motherfucker. This ship can't sink. She's made of iron, sir. I can assure you she can and she will. It is a mathematical certainty. Why don't we think like that as black people? Tell me. Somebody, give me an answer. Tell me. Right in the comment section. Tell me why we don't think like that. Why aren't we a pragmatic people? How long does black people being at the bottom of the totem pole have to go on before you niggas wake up and get it? How many generations are you going to fucking continue to instill this magical fairy tale bullshit in your kids? and telling them it's going to be all right. And we got generational poverty. It ain't going to be all right. You poor, your mama and your daddy was poor, your granddaddy and grandmama were poor. How many generations does that shit have to go on? And yet everybody's running around with prosperity preaching. That, if you're just a good Christian, God's gonna recognize your good behavior and pat you on the head and reward you with a whole bunch of material wealth and opulence that you just got finished saying is evil, and is unimportant, and it's not about the money. But yet, when you sit there and you pray and you wish and everything else, I've been blessed. It's all about rewards. It's all about what God's gonna give you. But yet you'll tell me it's not about tangibles, but you sitting there waiting for God to give you some shit. I mean, it's just like the worst. It's like the worst tool of white supremacy. You want to talk about something that keeps black people dependent? It's goddamn religion, man. Fucking churches all over the damn place. More churches I see, the more poverty I see. That is not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence. Everybody goes there hoping, and see, they're not Christians. Black Christians ain't honest. See, the truth of the matter is a lot of them are scared. That's what it is. They're scared. They don't know how to get out of their situation, and they're betting on this idea that the universe is somehow going to recognize their quote unquote good behavior, and that they're going to be that they're going to be given something. I mean, hell, the bootlicks got a better idea than the black Christians. You know what I'm saying? At least the bootlicks are like, who has all the power here on earth? White Zaddy, the white man. Oh, let me go and lick his ass crack and bootlick, and maybe I'll get something out of it. And oftentimes they do. So at least when they're tap dancing, they're actually tap dancing for something that is confirmed, that they recognize. Hey, we live in a white supremacist system. White people got all the power and the resources in the world. Oh, let me go tap dance for them. Oh, yes, massa. Oh, yes, massa. Oh, yes, massa. Oh, massa. These Negroes is plotting against you, massa. Oh. Why, thank you, Ezekiel. Here's some money. Thank you, master. I shows this happen, master. You know what I mean? And black people up here tap dancing for God. All that hooting and hollering you do in church, you tap dancing for God, hoping that the invisible sugar daddy is going to give you something. Like Cologino said in the Bronx Tale, your guy is bigger than my guy up there, but my guy is bigger than your guy down here. So the coons got something right. Y'all sitting there running around praying for white Jesus to give you something. Candace Owen over there, on Fox News, just throwing black people underneath the bus, and white people are making it rain on her. Yep. Tell those Negroes. Tell them how terrible they are, and the only reason where they are is because of their own devices. Tell them, Candace. Tell them. Yes, Brandon Tatum. Yes, tell them. Tell that nigga that he got shot because he wouldn't comply. Yeah, that's what happened. Yeah. The McMichaels, they were 100% right in chasing down Ahmaud Arbery because he had no business running through their neighborhood. That's right. Yeah, Brandon Tatum, make it rain on that motherfucker. Make it rain. So at least I gotta respect the fact that they know where to get the resources. They go and they tap dance and they get the resources from a real place that they can actually get it from. Meanwhile, the rest of black folks and all the rest of you Christians are sitting there waiting for white Jesus to come down and, and make a hole in the earth and crack it open and sit there and talk about how, if you behave such and such a way, I will reward you. Shit is stupid. Just stupid. Or if you want to get even more retarded and you want to really cover your bases, then anytime anything goes wrong, you say the devil did it. Not that God didn't do X, Y, and Z for you. He just didn't do for you today. It was the devil interfering with God giving you that which you prayed for, or that which you need. You see, like, I'm telling you, like, the shit has so many fail-safe devices in it. You're not going to make somebody see the shit. You know what I mean? I'll start fucking with Christians. I'm like, the devil made me do it. You know? Just start fucking with them. You know? I mean, there's no logic in it. There's zero logic in it. You know, everything is liquid. Everything is fluid. You know, shit just changes on the fly. There's never like, look, you said this yesterday, and this didn't happen, and now you're faced with this situation. Oh, well, that's not God working. God works in mysterious ways. What you talking about? Well, it'll happen eventually. You know what I mean? Like, and part that gets me with like this sort of it'll happen eventually, and God's got a plan for me. Do you not realize that for hundreds of years there were people who were born slaves and died slaves? You know what I'm saying? They didn't even make it past the age of 30. You know, but you know, archaeologists looking at their bones and shit, you know, saying that they had the bones of a 75-year-old, you know, because they were worked to death. Right? Where was their salvation? Like, that's the funny thing. All these black people, they sitting around waiting for the end of days, waiting to die and go to heaven and somehow get their reward and whatnot, and completely ignoring the fact that but at the same time they'll sit there and act like they're waiting for something here, like on earth. They act like they're sitting here waiting for something here on earth, right? But then I'm like, okay, well, let's look at the slave population. You had people who were born a slave and died a slave. I mean, you can't get any shittier of a life than that. I mean, other than, you know, being born with some debilitating handicap. But you really can't get a shittier life than that. Born a slave, died a slave. Died of malnutrition. Died of dehydration. And, you know, and then didn't even have the decency to fucking bury your ass or give you a headstone. Like, people have existed on this earth and didn't get shit. They got nothing but a fucking raw deal. The minute they were born, God stuck a middle finger up their fucking ass. And y'all want to sit here and you want to tell me about God like I'm supposed to have some fucking respect for that shit. And you look at how unfair the world is, uneven the world is. But yeah, everybody thinks they special. I don't even know where black people get this idea that they're special. Jewish people can sit there and say we're God's chosen people, you know, as they sit in the opulence and wealth and, you know, control the banks and all this other type of shit, and got businesses and corporations and people in high places that they can call upon and tap into if they need to get some shit done. You know what I'm saying? Like they can do that shit. But black people, where do black people get off thinking that they're special? Where in the last 2,000 years has there been anything special about black people's socioeconomic political condition? Where? Show it to me. 2,000 years? 2,000 years? Niggas got to go all the way back to some ancient Egypt or some Olmec type shit. You got to go back to when the Sahara was actually green to try to fabricate or come up with, you know, a thriving, bustling, black civilization. You got to go deep into ancient times. That again hasn't even really been verified. You know, they need to fly over the Sahara with some LiDAR and see if they can find some fucking structures. It's like a byproduct of slavery, I swear. It's just a byproduct, this endless, bottomless pit of freaking hope And don't get me wrong, hope is cool. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of hope, right? But when you start hoping so much, it's so funny because Chris Hedges just said this in that video that I uploaded. Like when you start your belief system, what you think is so untethered from reality, that's when it becomes a problem. And black people are so untethered from reality. It's disgusting. It's sickening. You know, I mean, you see this from the small to the large, from the microcosm to the macrocosm. You know, you see this with the women that, you know, they just refuse to face the fact that childless men are not out here fantasizing about single mothers and taking care of somebody else's baby. But let them tell it, I'm a find a man, Kevin. I'm a find a man. You can't tell them shit. And Christians, black Christians, same fucking way. Same fucking way. It doesn't matter how many black people over the last 100 years have been in church and look at the actual number who made it out of poverty and you know, who can or will try to attribute it to the church. You know what I mean? It's a drop in the bucket. 99.99999% of you will not make it out of poverty, no matter how much you go to fucking church. And the thing is it's not that it's impossible for you to get out of poverty. No, it's not that it's impossible. It's the fact that the tool that you think that is most effective for you to get out of poverty is not the actual tool that you use. You know what I'm saying? Like if I gave you a task, if I gave you an ice block and I said, I want you to put this nail in it, you're not going to grab the saw, you're going to grab the hammer. If I told you to take this ice block and smash it to pieces, you're not going to grab the saw, you're going to grab the hammer. Right? If I told you to cut the ice block in half, then you're going to grab the saw. You're not going to grab the hammer. You're not going to grab the chisel. You're going to grab the saw. You say, oh, cut it in half. Oh, I need a saw. But black people, for some reason, you know, we will grab, you know, it'll be some problem that needs to be handled. And, you know, we'll be like, oh, I know what they need. They need some Jesus. No, he doesn't need Jesus. He's got freaking heart failure. He needs a goddamn ACE inhibitor. That's what he needs. He doesn't need Jesus. You know, Jesus could come after he gets, you know, the ACE inhibitor. I mean, damn. Like, it's so frustrating. So frustrating. You know, but, oh, man. Anyway, that's all I got to say. That's my video. SWP out.